Gene was the meanest of the mean. He shoved me, stole my backpack, and humiliated me whenever possible. The teachers knew I was a good student, but Gene always found ways to make me look bad. Maybe it was my thick glasses, or my love for Dungeons and Dragons, or just because I was smarter than him. Seeing as that he didn't know his own ass from a hole in the ground, I'm guessing it was the latter. "Grab him!" Gene's voice shattered the silence of the empty hallway. I turned, clutching my textbook, only to be blindsided by Zach, one of Gene's goons. He wrenched my arms behind my back, his grip vice-like. I struggled, but there were no teachers left to save me. Gene smirked and snatched my book. He flipped through it, then tossed it aside. "You always try to be the good guy," he sneered, "even when there's no way out." "What do you want now?" I asked coldly, accustomed to his cruelty. "It's not what I want. It's what I need." His fist clenched. "You. Gone. I can't have a stain like you ruining my school's image." He motioned to his Letterman jacket. "You want me to leave?" Gene laughed. "If only it were that easy. I need you erased." "You can't get away with murder," I said flatly. Gene squinted. "Zach, 3rd floor bathroom." Zach hauled me up the stairs to the dimly lit 3rd floor. He shoved me into the boys' bathroom and slammed the door behind me. Metal screeched as desks barricaded me in. Flickering red candles cast eerie shadows across the cracked mirror. Then, Gene slid a phone under the door, the call already on speaker. "This is it," his voice crackled. "Don't bother calling for help. My phone's locked." I sighed. "You're locking me in the bathroom? This is your big plan?" "You never shut up," Gene snapped. "But don't worry, I'm not doing anything." A chill ran down my spine. "Bloody Mary isn't real," I muttered. Gene laughed. "I know." My breath hitched. I knew what he meant. My fingers trembled as I whispered, "La Llorona." Gene's laughter turned mocking. "That's right, Hector. Maybe she'll take you back to Mexico." "Gene!" I pounded on the door. "Gene, stop!" "La Llorona," he whispered. My pulse thundered. "La Llorona." My gaze flickered to the mirror. "Gene, for the love of God!" "La Llorona." Silence. Then, their laughter exploded through the phone, my heart still pounding in my chest. "Let me out." "Oh my God," Gene wheezed. "You actually believed it." I turned away, trying to shake off my fear. But then, I wasn't alone. A shape, darker than the shadows, loomed in the mirror. A woman in a flowing dress, motionless, watching. "Señora," I whispered. "Por favor, ten piedad." She moved. Her rotting face, empty eye sockets, glowing with a dim blue light, emerged from the darkness. Her skeletal fingers reached for me. I pressed against the cold, hard tile, paralyzed. Then, her touch softened. A ghostly caress traced my cheek. "Señora?"
"Mijito."
Her voice was a whisper, thick with a Mexican accent. A decrepit hand wiped a tear from my face. Her head tilted.
"Mijito, ¿qué pasó?"
I pointed at the door. "Esos dos, afuera, los matones." Her expression darkened. She turned sharply, and the door to the bathroom exploded open. Gene and Zach's laughter died instantly. Gene barely had time to react before La Llorona's bony fingers wrapped around his throat. She lifted him effortlessly. Water gushed from his mouth, spilling onto the floor. His skin paled, lips turning purple as liquid poured from his nose and ears. His body flopped lifelessly to the ground. Zach bolted for the stairwell. La Llorona melted into a puddle, reappearing before him as he threw open the girl's bathroom door. He skidded to a stop, his scream echoing down the corridor. He ran back toward me. "Hector, help me, man!" He clutched my shoulders, terror in his eyes. I didn't move. Zach's expression twisted in confusion. He gagged, then choked. Water dribbled from his lips. His hands clutched his throat as liquid gushed from his eyes, nose, and mouth. His skin turned gray. He crumpled to the floor, twitching until he finally lay still. A cold, damp hand rested on my shoulder. I turned to face my savior, Maria, no longer a decayed specter, but a beautiful woman in a flowing wedding dress. Her mocha skin glowed, her raven black hair cascading over her shoulders. She smiled at me, warmth in her spectral eyes.
Mijito,
she whispered.
No sabes cuánto tiempo he esperado.
I smiled back. I had never felt such love. She reached for my hand. I took it without hesitation. Together, we walked back into the bathroom. Standing before the mirror, she rubbed my shoulders gently, and then she cradled my head, and I didn't resist. Even as she held me under the water, even as my limbs thrashed, I knew. She did this all out of love. For me.